Here's one of the springs that we're coming across. Got a little wet, but it feels good.
I took the break and I just
How you guys doing? Hi there. Oh wow, you guys are a big group, huh?
Yeah, it's QR code.
How you doing?
I know I'm from there.
14. What group you guys part of? Oh. All right, this is Ice House Canyon Creek, and we just went from end to end. we started the hike where the creek ends. It kind of seeps in the ground. We hiked up already a few miles, and this is where the creek kind of starts. It comes out of the mountain just a little ways up there, and then so now we're going to continue up the mountain and leave the creek behind. And these ladies just are amazing. They completely blew me away so far. And I found myself alone back here right now. I gotta get going to catch up to them. Icehouse Canyon's always wicked. Never gets easier. We're getting close to the saddle. I think we've gone about 3.5 miles up this canyon. And this is probably the hardest trip I've ever had, carrying this big backpack up this canyon. I'm completely far behind Brooke and Stephanie. Alright, things didn't go quite as planned. Right now I'm at Kelly's camp, trying to take a nap in a tent, inside my tent. But what the plan was today was to, start the hike at the trailhead, the Icehouse Canyon trailhead, go all the way to the saddle, and then continue on past the saddle to Kelly's camp. And then set up camp, which we did. This is our camp right now. Oh, shit. This is... I'm getting some mean leg cramps. That painful. Hold on. Okay, so anyways, I'll just get some mean, very painful leg cramps right now in my inner legs, my ham hocks. Anyways, once again, the plan was to hike up Icehouse Canyon, go to the saddle, go beyond the saddle to Kelly's camp, set up camp, and then continue on to Ontario Peak. And then come back from Ontario Peak, a short distance back to Kelly's camp, stay here for the night, then wake up early, and then leave our stuff here and tackle Cucamonga Peak. And then after done with Cucamonga Peak, come back to Kelly's camp, get our stuff, and then, hike off the mountain. But didn't work out. I've been pretty much defeated by Icehouse Canyon alone, and I barely got here to Kelly's camp crawling. Kelly's camp is about 2/3 away. I'd say it's about 2/3 of the way to Ontario Peak. So, I mean, it is quite a distance. But I just could not go any further. My body shut down. I reached my limit with my body, mainly because my backpack was, somewhere between 40 and 50 pounds. And the second half of Icehouse Canyon is extremely steep and for a long ways. And carrying that backpack with that degree of climbing, it just did me in, and I barely made the saddle. took a rest, and I just needed to go to 1 more mile to Kelly's camp so I could set up camp and have a place to sleep tonight. So it remains to be seen if I'm going to Cucamonga tomorrow. Right now, the girls took off to Ontario Peak because they're part of a 12 Peak Challenge program or 12 Peak Challenge contest, and I don't want to screw up their. They're killing 2 of the peaks just this weekend alone, and I just don't want to screw it up for them. So I told them to go ahead. I couldn't even gone to Ontario Peak if I wanted to. My legs are all cramping up. I physically have reached my limits. So we'll see if I'm going to Cucamonga tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm over here in the middle of nowhere by myself, which I kind of like it. It's kind of tranquil, and I can take a nap, and deep on the north slope of Cucamonga Wilderness. Kelly's camp, there's nothing here. They just, well, it's a historical site, but there's actually nothing here. It's just a flat area to where you can camp. And that's where I'm at. The girls should be back in about 3-4 hours. Anyways, see you in a bit. Okay, I'm sitting here in dead silence, trying to see if I can find some wildlife. And I think, let's see here. I spotted something over there. Let me see if I lost him now. Let me see if I can spot him again. Oh, okay. If you look way over there. Hold on. Yeah. See, I think, I see some humans going by. They're on the way back from Ontario Peak. I'm sure that's where they went. But the trail goes to the Ontario Peak and then it ends. Oh, shit. Now, just to let you know my own history here at Kelly's. I've only camped here overnight one other time, and that's when me and my father came here, and I think that was probably in the late 70s. I was a kid, and I think it's before I went to high school, so that put it, around 78 or maybe 79, or actually a little sooner, because I think I was younger than, I think it was maybe in elementary school. But came up here, and as a hike, or actually we came up here intending to stay the night, but we weren't prepared at all. We had jackets. But we had summer sleeping bags, and there was snow on the ground. This whole area was snow capped, and we dared to stay the night. And to tell you the truth, I almost froze to death. It could have gotten down to 20 or the teens, maybe approaching 0, but I was shaking the whole night, and the only thing I could do was try to lift my father's body on top of me to warm me up. That's the only way that would keep me warm. And that's the only time I stayed the night here. Many years ago. This is the first time since then. But I've traveled through here a couple of times. Once to go to Ontario Peak. I've been here a few times before, just not overnight, except that one time. And when I did stay overnight, I seen just one animal here, and I woke up and there was a deer kind of close to the tents. However, everybody else reports all the time that they see bighorn sheep up here. This campground is it's on the north slope of Bighorn and Ontario Peaks. And so I would say this campground is about 7,500 feet high, because the peaks are, over 8,000 feet high. And this is actually close to the top of the ridge. You just can't see the ridge from here. Anyways, that's my story about Kelly's Camp. And hopefully I'll see Bigfoot tonight. One more thing. There's good news and bad news if I choose to go to Cucamonga Peak tomorrow. I mean, either way, it's kind of risky for me. But good news is we're already at a high elevation. And if I choose to go to Cucamonga Peak, I won't be carrying any weight other than a little water. So I'm not carrying a big backpack like when I came up Ice House. However, Cucamonga is a hard mountain. We'd have to leave here and actually go down a little ways, decrease in elevation down to the saddle, and then go over the top of the saddle and go down the mountain even more, and then start climbing Cucamonga. And I've only been to Cucamonga once. That is a relentless mountain. It's one of the harder peaks to climb. But I won't have all the heavy weight. So, my legs are hurting, my ankles are hurting right now. If I wake up and decide to go, well, then there's a lot to do tomorrow, because I'll be climbing the mountain, come back to camp here, get our stuff, and then have to walk down the mountain altogether. But we'll see how that goes. Not sure what I'm going to decide on. I guess it depends on how I wake up in the morning. Might be all right. Stephanie and Brooke just got back from Ontario Peak. So I got out of the tent, just kind of exploring the surrounding area of the camp. Over here, they're saying there's a little water source. And somebody reported a snake over here, so I'm coming to check it out. Now this is kind of weird. There's a PVC pipe coming out of the ground. And it's down to a trickle, but that is drinking water in case you were in an emergency or something. I'm told that this is seasonal. It ends pretty quick. But I don't know where the PVC pipe goes to. I mean, it's just There's even a little trail just to get to that little water source. It's beautiful up here. Right now there's a good to strong breeze, and it's getting a little chilly. Even though it's summertime now, it's it's a good temp right now. But I had to put on my light little windbreaker because it feels like it's getting a little cold. I'm not sure. I think it's supposed to get down to 50 tonight. That's not too cold. It's a good little camp spot, shady, and it looks like the girls are knocking out. Very tranquil back here. Absolutely, you can hear the sound of silence. You can only hear the breeze on the trees.
Oh, this one's better of the two signs. See?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good view up there too.
Yeah,
All
I
around
love
it.
the view.
It's kind of a tight little peak up there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's not like
Cu-
huge, but
Cucamonga is different.
yeah. Cucamonga, you got like multiple places to go.
We're up early in the morning to go hiking, and this is what I find by my tent. We're getting ready to head off to Cucamonga Peak. Right now it's about 5:30 a.m. and this fella's right next to my tent. He's been around the campsite all night, even going through my stuff, some of my bags. This guy made the night kind of exciting. This is a pretty good sized deer too. It's not a real tiny one. That's why when I heard some racket by the tent, I turned the light on. There's a big old head by my tent. This is kind of a big deer. It doesn't have any antlers, but still pretty big. Anyways, we're Cucamonga bound. See you in a bit. Climbing Cucamonga. Just getting started on this mountain. Well, actually, we're about in the middle of it. I'll give you a 360 view of everything around me. Gives you an idea where I'm at. See you in a bit.
My candies, I ate a couple, drank some water, and I said, okay, let's go.
How was the difficulty for you this time?
It was still difficult.
You know what? I did a little better than I thought I was going to do. I just took it easy, slow, and I didn't overdo it. But here we are. We made it. Cucamonga Peak. Elevation is 8,859 feet from that rock right there. Look at the views over here. We're well above, what is it, San Gabriel Valley? We're above the clouds. Okay. Those mountains over there is Santa Ana Mountains. And you can't see much else except the far horizon. You can see a little bit of the valley floor, but right here I see a little building, and or no, not a building, yeah, a little tank and a water canal down there. Okay, this is okay, over here I could point at the right direction. Right there is San Jacinto. Over here is Santa Gorgonio. So those are the two major mountains. But you know, this area right here would be a great place to, you know, camp overnight, set up tents. Just a lot of nice spaces to set up your. The problem is, I don't think I could ever bring my equipment up here. It's just too hard of a climb. That's the problem. But anyways, I wasn't sure I was going to make this today after my failure yesterday, but I did. So signing off.